Precise aim activated. Target hit. Precise aim activated. Good job! Destroyed an enemy ship.
Hello everyone and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today we are looking at a relatively famous ship that I believe is upcoming. At this point I'm confused. I don't know. It might be in the Blitz Pass already, it might be upcoming, we'll find out. It also depends on when I'm going to release this video. This is the USS California. The California being a Tennessee-class battleship, which were effectively successors of the New Mexico class and still standard type battleships. She was the flagship of the battle group in the interwar period, and she was in Pearl Harbor during the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. She did take 2 torpedoes, I believe, both under the belt, and then a bomb hit that caused some massive damage. It's believed on at least on some sources that it was a converted 410mm shell that actually went through the deck and blew up and caused the ship effectively to sink. The California was then resurfaced and rebuilt with, well, some improvements. They threw out the old secondaries and put twin 120mm or 5-inch secondaries in. They did put a substantial amount of underwater protection onto the ship as well, because, you know, out of the experience of having been torpedoed under the belt and bombed through the deck, they also put a fair amount of deck plating on the whole thing, which made the ship rather chunky. But they did give her new boilers, a new superstructure, took away all the old cage masts and all these kind of things, and got her back in operations in about 1944. So she was still able to participate in some of the last battles and engagements in the Pacific War, exact her revenge, and then after the war was mothballed and then eventually scrapped in 59. So unfortunately not a museum ship, but in the game. And if we look at the ship, this is the post-rebuild configuration. Now, don't be fooled by the little radar dish on top. You don't get a radar. It's a tier 7. But she's definitely not having the cage masts anymore, and she has the additional Oerlikon 40mm, and she's got the twin secondary turrets, and I believe it's one of the Brooklyn's conning towers that was stuck on top. So and the significant chunk on the side here that you can see. So yeah, this is the later rebuild, so we're not going to see a California 44, but it is a tier 7 premium. So what can we expect from this particular one, and is it worth going for? There we go. That took a little bit of time. Comparison. So California being armed with 356mm or 14-inch guns. For tier 7, that's a relatively low caliber, but not unheard of. For example, we also have the Florida here. So let's compare the two. Well, first things first, the Florida gets an extra consumable on each, but the California still gets 3 of the precise aims and 2 defensive AA skills. She does have more hit points and a substantially better torpedo damage reduction, which makes sense given that this is the 1943-1944 rebuild. She also has a top speed of 19.45 seconds base. Yep, that is South Carolina speed. And not quite accurate, because she could do about a knot more, because she did receive new boilers in the rebuild. So even with the additional protection and the widening of the ship, she would have been able to do over 20 knots, but definitely not 26 like the Florida here. A very pedestrian ship all in all. But then we come to the guns, and this is where it gets really interesting, because the Florida has 356 millimeter guns, or 14 inches. The California as well, instead of in 3 quadruple turrets, she gets 4 triple turrets, but oh boy, these guns. These are really, really good guns. First of all, we have an under 20-second base reload. We have an almost 14 kilometer base range. And she does additional damage compared to the Florida's guns. And she's got a 7 degrees per second turret traverse. That is better than battle cruisers mostly. So a very, very good primary guns. The secondaries, astonishingly, are pretty garbage. So the even though they are modernized twin 5-inch guns, they're actually substantially worse than the exact same guns that we see on the Florida. Less range, significantly less damage, a slower reload. The AA is for all intents and purposes about the same, and the surface detection is a little bit worse than on the Florida. So let's compare quickly to the Colorado, which is the Tech Tree Tier 7, and that is just for those of you who are not completely aware of the difference between the premium lines and the Tech Tree line. So generally the traditional Tech Tree battleship line on the Americans is based around throwing as much shells downrange as they possibly can, whereas the alternate line, leading up to the Vermont, has a slower reload and in return better precision. The premiums tend to sort of go down the precision route as well, but not with the ultra slow reloads that we see otherwise. So while the Colorado obviously is a little bit faster than the California, it's not by an awful lot. And the Colorado has the 16-inch guns, which are obviously a bit better, but she only gets 8 of them. They have a slower reload and they have actually less range and nowhere near the dispersion that you get on the California. So in the tradition of the American premium battleships, it is a precise, long-range, but very, very slow battleship in this particular instance. Now, what can we do with the elite bonus? Well, you could be tempted. Well, no, you shouldn't be tempted to go for the damage control center, because what you really want is range. Because this ship has almost the same range as a Yamato. In Tier 7, you can get the range up to over 15 kilometers with the right build. So the first step obviously is to take the Advanced Gun Director for an additional 4% range. And then if you put the Historical Camouflage on, you get another 4% range. She does get an alternate camo, which gives you which looks very patriotic and gives us the range, but instead of giving us the dispersion improvement, we get large caliber AA range, and instead of the torpedo damage reduction, we get secondary range. Given that the secondaries are completely crap, and honestly, you're not fast enough to really make a difference in terms of AA, I would say in this particular instance, for once, the alternate camo is noticeably inferior, because I would definitely prefer the dispersion from the historical, plus it actually looks better in my opinion. But if you want, it's an option. Now, equipment-wise, you don't usually get the precision module for the mains, but what you do get is the American battleship-specific artillery plotting room, and that gives us main battery range and secondary range, which we don't need, But the main battery range 4% is what we're after here. And yes, I am actually playing this with concealment because this is a ship that doesn't go anywhere very quickly, but it doesn't need to, because unlike the things like the Colorado, she has actually improved range, and she is reasonably precise with the main guns. So you're actually capable of hitting things at longer ranges to quite devastating effects. Now, I have played 2 rounds, one with a regular setup and a regular commander, and one with George Dewey, the legendary commander that was originally introduced with the alternate Tillman Battleship Vermont line. And there are a couple of reasons for it. Well, first of all, this is a perfect fit for this kind of ship. You do get the improved torpedo alert. The artillery maintenance actually makes a lot of sense on this commander because of the range and because you're in tier 7. Because this ship has such a long range that you can usually cover most of the map in tier 7 from your spawn. So while you're not going anywhere anytime quickly, you don't need to. And that means that you'll usually be firing from the rear, which means that you're usually actually outranging. You're not just effectively outranging things. So if I'm saying effectively outrange, I mean you're being shot at a range by an enemy battleship that they really can't hit you effectively because of dispersion and everything else. You're effectively outranging it by just having a longer range, really. So you often don't get hit. You often don't get taken an awful lot of damage because this is not a frontliner. And that means as long as you maintain more than 75% of your HP, you get, well, you guessed it, an additional 3% dispersion and an additional 15% turret traverse, which with a 7 degrees per second base traverse should get her almost up to about 8 degrees and a cookie, which is at this point we're getting close to the 8-inch guns of American heavy cruisers with the main batteries. Dewey also has the Precise Aiming Expert, which is a quite interesting skill. And the reason I like this, so what it effectively does is it trades your unlike the regular marksman skill, which allows you to fire 2 salvos with the precise aiming up, this reduces your duration, which means that you are only ever going to get 1 salvo up, but in return it gives you 2 extra charges and it significantly reduces the cooldown. So you get, instead of 3, you get 5 precise aiming skills, and you get to use them more often. Now this isn't quite this means you get 5 salvos off with the precise aim, whereas if you went with fire supremacy and the regular marksman skill, you would get 4, but you could fire 2. So effectively, it would be you would be having more precision. But it also allows you to use the survivalist instead, which if you find yourself in a situation where you cannot just play back row, because let's be honest, it's not always possible, and you do come under fire, you can sustain that for quite a bit longer by actually repairing the ship. So it's not a bad trade-off. And he does get improved extinguisher, improved compartment maintenance. So if you do come under air attack, this does help quite a little bit. And the horizontal protection expert plus, which also once more improves the deck armor on this ship. Unfortunately, we don't have somebody with APCS plus, but it's an obvious choice to take the APCS on this ship. Not just because of the guns themselves, because these are at the end of the day 14-inch guns and you do get yourself into tier 8 games, but because of the sheer number of shells, and with improved penetration, and if you can manage to get a large number of shells on target, given that each shell has a percentage chance on a full penetration of scoring a citadel hit, it improves your chance of scoring citadels quite a little bit. Right then, so USS California, is it a collector's item or is it a really, really good ship? Let's try. Now we're doing this a little differently today. Usually I just show you 2 battles, one with the regular setup and one with the fully decked out setup. And we're doing that as well here, but the first battle is sort of shows you what happens if you're playing the California how she doesn't want to be played? Because this is a very, very specific ship that requires a very specific playstyle to be successful. So we are in Domination on Haunted Seas, facing Rodney, Nagato, Colorado, another Nagato, Eindracht, a Chumphon, and a Leberecht Mars. There's actually a tier 8. We have a Wichita on our side, but other than that, it's a plain old tier 7 game. So what you want to do in the California, or what you have to do in the California in order to be successful, is, well, basically stay where you are. You can inch yourself a little bit forward, but most of the time you just want to stay where you are, because that ship is very, very slow, and she is much better suited towards that role in order to be, in order to be successful. We do have a Leningrad and we do have an Algerie with me here, so I am obviously expecting them to go C-Cup, and it's a domination battle, and you do have to compensate for your team doing stupid stuff sometimes, like that Algerie over there. Algerie, what are you doing? And Leningrad goes and is like, I'm doing that too, look. People, C-Cup, oi, Algerie, no, where are you going? You absolute muppets. Head over to C, start contesting that, so we can get into go. So this obviously now prevents me from having a decent firing position, because now I have to deal with the threat into C-Cup, because my team has completely abandoned this flank, for now at least, and I'm in no position to actually push forward. And obviously there is already an enemy ship in sea. This could be a destroyer, this could be a cruiser. I don't know. I'm not yet spotted, so they haven't actually gone through between the islands, but I'm now completely alone, and I have found a Rodney to shoot at. Hello, Mr. Rodney. Now, Rodney is not the best armored ship, so let's back off a little bit. Precise aim. This is a standard captain, so we only get 3 precise aims, but in return we get 2 salvo with the precise aim, and yeah, that hurt. Let's see if we can do that again. But that's effectively the range that I want to operate in. The maximum range is not quite the same because I don't have the historical camo on. But I now have another battleship here that helps out as well. And that Rodney is learning the hard way what happens if you are sailing broadside on straight into the enemy team. Now there was something in C-Cup. And yes, it's the Leberecht Mars. He's back there. But my team's now been bottled in to B-Cup, which means they are at serious risk of being outflanked if the enemy team is sending anything around. And our Leningrad is just YOLOing into the enemy cruisers at this point. So now it's up to us here to clean up that Rodney and then maybe try to take C-Cup while the Leberecht Mars is heading back as well, interestingly enough. He's not interested in dealing with, and now we know who captured, there's also the Chumphon. Now this would have been really nice if the Leningrad and the Algerie had come along, but you know how it is. Well, we've discussed that. So let's finish off the Rodney, and here's where I'm effectively playing too far forward. And I am going forward because I have to, because there's a Chumphon over there who I'm never gonna, who can totally outspot me, and who's got fuel smokes. And okay, finally we've got the Rodney done. So the Colorado can get into C-Cup, but I also don't have any angles on anybody on the enemy team anymore at this point. So I do have to move forward here, unfortunately, and take on the Chumphon, which I don't want to, because that thing's got nasty deep water torpedoes. So shots out at point blank range, and he is going to regret that, but it's not an insta kill. And there comes the Leberecht Mars around just casually, because I have no screen. And there come the Chumphon torpedoes, and the Leberecht Mars is just going to rush me, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. So, I mean, he's not going to kill me with those torpedoes, but it is going to hurt. And I have the armor piercing loaded, which isn't helping. So yeah, not an awful lot I can do other than just take that on the torpedo damage, on the torpedo belt. Try to deal with the Chumphon, but in the meantime, obviously the Chumphon has managed to get a second salvo out, so I'm not sure I can still get that Chumphon, probably. That should be the end of the Chumphon, but now the Eindracht comes out as well, fully broadsiding in front of me, by the way. But I am way too much forward in this ship at this point. And while you can still do a decent amount of damage, yeah, that's pretty much the end of me. This Leibrecht Mars is coming around, and while the team has managed to retake C, well, this could have gone better. So what you want to do in the California is you want to hang back. Now you can't always do it because your team doesn't always allow you to do it, because sometimes, you know, especially in tier 7, which is still technically somewhat mid-tier, you can do some you can see some questionable plays. Well done by the Colorado, by the way. He's realized that the Algerie and the Leningrad on our team were just completely goofing off there, and has managed to eventually take CCAP, but this should have happened in a much more sensible manner. So yeah, it doesn't always allow you to play that way, but what you generally want to do, even if your team, you know, does silly things, is you still need to hang back and just focus on doing damage, because that is the one thing that the California is really, really good at. And that leaves one battleship, the enemy Colorado, and they're currently battling that out. I'll skip ahead to the end of the match because there's nothing interesting happening anymore here. And the Colorado is down, and we have won the game. Still done 65,000 points of damage, which is not terrible for a tier 7 battleship. But it could have been better if I had been given the opportunity to concentrate on long-range fire rather than having to sail out and being effectively just outmaneuvered by enemy light forces. Which brings us to the second game, which is base capture in Bay of Storms. We are in a tier 8 game, and we are facing Zieten, Colorado, Lyon, Renown 44, this looks like a loner, double Takao, and a Mayhem. Do keep an eye on the Gascogne on our team here. So this is a single destroyer, 2 cruisers, but Takaos are very dangerous cruisers. The thing is, this is the fully decked out setup with the historical camo on this ship. And that means, as you're going to be seeing in a second, I have over 15 kilometers range. Look at the range circle. It leads literally to the enemy capture circles. I can hit things in the enemy cap from where I am. That's a 15.53 kilometer range on a tier 7 battleship. That is absolutely hilarious. So I'm still moving forward. I want to get into a slightly better position, but I don't have to go very far. And it's not that I can, because the ship is... you know, the ship does 20 knots downhill if everybody gets out and pushes. But we do have a Southern Dragon who's going pretty aggressive here, and but is doing some spotting for us. Southern Dragon, I think, is just a Miyoko. So if he's built, now he's opening up, and there we have a Takao. So shots out at the Takao, and I'm just going half speed here because I am literally far enough range-wise that I can hit things, and that was very disappointing. I was expecting more. But we have some opposition here, and the Southern Dragon is just finding out the hard way that there's value in scouting first. Okay, Lyon is moving slightly forward. He did want to get his torpedoes away, which is fair enough, but I don't think he's achieved an awful lot with those torpedoes, and he's about dead. So, yep, Zieten has taken him out, which leaves just Gascogne and myself on this flank against at least 4 enemy ships. So what are we going to do? We are going to concentrate fire. Gascogne shoots at the Lyon, so I shoot at the Lyon. Let's see if we can get the Lyon done. And Zieten is not pushing, at least not particularly aggressively. And Lyon, I can still hit you. Oh, no, better target. There comes the Takao. Hello. He's probably just going to peek out, so precise aim up. I'm assuming that he's going to slow down once he gets his torpedoes away, and he is slowing down, so he's running full on into that salvo. Gascogne is just pure defensive, but I am behind the lines, which is where I want to be in this ship. Let's see if we can get a second shot out at the Takao, and then we'll focus on whoever comes around the corner next. Gascogne is still tanking, which is great. Thank you, Gascogne. And no citadels, just unlucky here. But we have, I think, driven off, just the two of us, we have driven off the the enemy team. And I'm literally just checking where the Gascogne is shooting, and then I'm going to join in order to do as much damage as we possibly can. There are the inevitable tack-out torpedoes, but this is sort of the gameplay you want to do in the California. You want to be at, oh hello Mr. Takao, you're doing that again. That worked so well for you last time. Okay, he's poking his nose out. He's going to stop, drop his torpedoes. I'm just waiting for it. Come on, stop, will you? Okay, he's already dead. Never mind. Because our North Carolina is pushing, so now I'm out of stuff to shoot at. So I'm going to move forward a little bit. Actually, there's a Colorado. Hello, Mr. Colorado. Gascogne has backed off because he's been defensive. And now we're focusing our fire on the Colorado, who is just poked out broadside on and decided, oh, I want to attack that Gascogne. Gascogne goes, all right, I'll go back defensive here again. Well played, Gascogne. Well played. This is not the role you actually want in a French battleship. Now North Carolina, me and Gascogne are unloading at the unlucky Colorado. Do note that we're equal on kills, by the way. We're dead equal on scores at this point. But I'm going to move up, and Gascogne I think is low enough on hit points that he needs to kite away. So I see that Gascogne is kiting away, so I'm taking over here. And look at that dispersion. and I missed completely. But Seaton comes around now. North Carolina has finished off the Colorado. Seaton comes around, but we do have a Lyon to shoot at. That is on lower hit points, so let's see if we can finish off the Lyon over there. Precise aim up, shots out. Seaton is going to have torpedoes, but is going after and that's the end of the Lyon, is going after the North Carolina, which is also defensive, and the Renown there as well. So he's trying to push for the cap, but now they've lost too many ships, and I am just going to manual aim at the deck plating here. It is a German battle cruiser, so not an awful lot gonna happen, and he obviously has torpedoes, but we can wear this thing down. And the thing is, I still have 44,000 hit points. Even Gascogne is doing relatively well. There come the Seaton torpedoes, so I do have to outmaneuver them. And Seaton is gonna die to torpedoes. So, oh no, there's the Takao again. Hello, Mr. Takao. That's the other Takao, because the other one already died. So Seaton's taking out the Schumpfhorn. But Schumpfhorn should have taken the Seaton, I think, as well. We're still 1 kill ahead, but we're now having Gascogne, who is on somewhat low hit points, and myself. So I'm trying to distract the Takao, because I have got more hit points. Hoping that Gascogne can finish off the Renown over there. And obviously Takao is the more dangerous ship. Gascogne takes down the Renown, well done, and now it's just the Takao left. And I do have to dodge eventually incoming torpedoes from the Takao. I mean, why else would he come out fully broadside on? But well played, Gascogne. And I've been pretty much just sitting in this position the whole game. That's all I've done here. So let's see if I can still get that second kill, or if Gascogne takes him. And I think everyone's missed, so Takao's fully broadsiding to me, and he's now dead, a Pitadel, and I have switched to the high explosive for the Mayan. But well done, Gascogne, well played team. This is precisely how you want to play the California. You want to play from the spawn, from the back row, like you would play in a Slava. And she hits really, really hard. if you... 90,000 points of damage with a tier 7 battleship is nothing to sneeze at. And this is a very good ship, and a well-deserved Gascogne win on top of the team, because he's been tanking the whole game. And that's where the 300 team score came from. So well done, Gascogne, and well done, Game, for pointing that out, actually. But that was a tier 8 battleship, and I'm in a tier 7. And the California is an excellent ship, honestly. I would almost say it's... Well, I'm not going to say it's overpowered, but it is a very strong tier 7 battleship. She's pretty precise. The 14-inchers can hit really hard. She's got a hilarious range with the historical camo build. And she's relatively easy to play, because you can pretty much literally sit at your spawn and shoot at things. Now, you're not going to hit highly maneuverable targets at long range, but you're in a position where a lot of battleships don't see you as a threat and don't go defensive or bow in against you, but usually you can be in a position where you have your choice of broadsides to pick. And play this thing like the Vermont line, and you're going to be absolutely in love with it. So this is a great ship and a great addition. If you are playing against it, be aware of the range that this thing can bring to bear, and make sure that you are taking that into account when being shot at. Simply just don't give it broadside, and it's not going to do an awful lot against you. But it's having a really fast reload. It's got a lot of guns. They hit hard for 14 inchers, and it's got a really, really long range. Up close, not too much going on. If you are unless she's got the high explosive loaded, if you're in a destroyer and you're going point blank. But it's a very slow ship. The secondaries are terrible. She can't really defend herself up close very well if you outmaneuver her. And as such, if you see someone in a California just going frontline, easy kill. If you see someone in a California in the back, be aware of what these things can do. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks, everybody. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.